Thanks a lot for joining us. We just wanted to welcome you and say thanks, especially to all of you that are here and are interested in hearing about our program. And then to the residents from Iowa that have joined us. We really appreciate you guys being here and sharing your experience too. My name is Alex Isaacson. I am one of the chief residents and I'm a fourth year.
And I'm Matt Gosse. I am also a chief resident in fourth year. I'm from Iowa City, and I'm going to be doing the GI Surgical Pathology Fellowship here. And yeah, welcome to everyone to this meeting.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm originally from Wisconsin. I'll be doing the General Surg Path Fellowship here next year, and then a Bone and Soft Tissue Fellowship at Cleveland Clinic the following year. So we just wanted to let you know that this session is going to be recorded. So you'll be able to come back to it. It should be posted to our YouTube and to our website within the next couple of days. And then definitely feel free to use your webcams, especially at the end when we have a little bit of time for Q&A and you go into your breakout rooms. Please feel free to turn on your webcams just so we can kind of see your faces and get to know you a little bit.
All right, so we're gonna just the kind of overview for tonight. We're gonna have Dr. Snow as our program director. He's gonna have a few words to say to us, and then Alex and I will talk about why we think UI pathology is special and why we think you all should consider us and talk about the program highlights. And then a couple other residents are going to talk about life in Iowa City. And then we're gonna do kind of a general Q&A that was from the questions that you submitted. We kind of synthesized them into a few questions, and then we're gonna do some breakout rooms with the residents that have joined us today. So you can go ahead, Dr. Snow.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Well, hello, everyone. I'd just like to welcome you to our open house, and I really appreciate you joining us to learn more about our program. I'd like to thank also our residents, the Iowa residents, for sharing your time with our visitors. I really appreciate that. And I hope you can get some sense of what it's like in our program from interacting with the people. It's one of my favorite parts about this place. So I'm Anthony Snow. I'm the Residency Program Director. I subspecialize in GI pathology and molecular genetic pathology on a clinical basis. The focus of this event is to introduce you to our program, to introduce you to Iowa City a bit, and mainly to allow you to interact with some of our current residents. And kind of get a feel for the place, ask some questions. So I'm going to give you some brief comments and then I'll head out so that you can have those interactions with each other and I won't bug you too much. I've been here for about 8 years. I've really grown to love this program and to love living in the area. I've had the opportunity to experience both this department, both as a fellow before coming back here and joining as faculty, as I said, about 8 years ago. And I've really found it to be a great place from both perspectives and continue to enjoy it to this day. We have a proud tradition here of a well-rounded AP and CP training program that we take a lot of pride in. We show a lot of dedication to education, and it's a huge priority within our program. For me, the people and the environment here was really an enormous draw, both coming here as a fellow and my experiences here. That's the reason I chose to come here. And then after experiencing it for myself, I left to do an additional fellowship. And then I came back here as a faculty member, mainly because of those experiences and those interactions that I had with folks. And I've really enjoyed my time here since then, both among the peers and among the excellent resident group that transitions every couple of years, but has been really a pleasure to interact with and to work with. Couldn't be prouder of our graduates and of our current residents that you'll get to meet tonight. So I'd invite you also to check out our website. It has a lot of kind of just factual, statistical kind of information and hard facts to get to know, and then think about applying to our program and coming for at least a virtual visit. We do plan on doing virtual recruitment this year, so we're not going to have on-site visits planned at this time, mainly for safety purposes. And it seemed to work pretty well last year. So I hope you have a good time tonight getting to know our program, our city, and our residents. And I'm going to sign off and let you folks interact and ask some questions a little bit later. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks, Dr. Snow. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Okay, so a couple of we've polled the residents, and these are some of the reasons that people say that they really love training at UI Pathology. The number one thing that graduating trainees say that they miss about UI Pathology is the people, both the trainees themselves, and then the staff, as well as all of the support staff that that help us on our services. Some additional things that we think are really special about this program are kind of an ideal mix of search path cases. The University of Iowa takes cases from all of the surrounding states, including Illinois, Minnesota, Missouri, and then the state of Iowa as well. And so that gives us a really nice mix of complex and rare cases, as well as the bread and butter cases that you want to see as a trainee. We're really proud of our autopsy training, and we'll talk about the specifics of this a little bit later, but we feel that our autopsy training is exceptional here, and we get to see both forensic and hospital or medical cases right here at the University of Iowa. Our CP training is specifically very hands-on with cutting edge flow cytometry and molecular that we get to participate in as residents. Ample research opportunities, which we will touch on, and you can definitely ask our specific residents more questions about. And then finally, it's just really easy and affordable to live in this area, and you're going to hear more about that from a couple of our residents as well.
So here's just kind of program highlights of who's in leadership at the program. So we're here in the University of Iowa. And it's located in Iowa City, Iowa, in the United States. And the program director of UMet was Dr. Snow, pictured here, and then Dr. Krasowski and Dr. Bashir are the associate program directors. Carrie Christensen is our program coordinator, and then Alex and myself are chief residents. We are recruiting 6 PGY1 positions for the following year for this round, and the PGY1 stipend for this past year was $60,000.
A couple of other highlights of our program are that we have an integrated AP and CP curriculum, meaning that we do AP and CP rotations within the same year. We don't split it out, AP 1 year, CP 1 year. We have 13 rotations per year, which equates to 4 weeks for each rotation. And then you can see the breakdown of the AP and CP rotations, as well as 7 electives to use to do kind of what we want, whether that be research, additional training in a specific area, or even potentially away rotations. All of our rotations are located on site. We have a VA hospital that we rotate on as well, but the VA is located essentially on the same campus. They're right across the street from us. And as we mentioned, the medical examiner is located in our hospital. We have daily didactics at 7:30 a.m. For AP, and then we have CP didactics as well as weekly microscopic unknowns. And one of the things that we're really proud of at Iowa is that we have 2 optional weekly resident-led conferences. I think we had a picture of the scope during one of those conferences on a previous slide, but they're really well attended by all trainees and include an interesting case conference where we show each other the kind of the best cases of the week from all the services. And then a Malawi conference, which is based off of the very famous intro textbook to surgical pathology. This conference is aimed at junior trainees and the post-sophomore fellows and medical students that we have rotating with us, but is taught by senior residents, where we go through each organ system, and the senior residents teach the junior residents and medical students. So it's really a great way for all of us to both refresh kind of our normal, the bread and butter cases, but also get some experience teaching as senior residents as well.
I'll just add on the slide here some pictures of facilities that we have here, which are quite nice, including the gross room, which this is just about a quarter of what the gross room size is. This is one of the autopsy suites, which we have 2 suites, and we can do up to 3 cases at once. So some highlights of the facilities. And yeah, so I know that a lot of people have questions about particulars on surgical pathology, day-to-day kind of operations. So we'll just go through that briefly. We have a 3-day surge path grossing cycle. Day 1 is where we're in the gross room. And so that is where we are in the gross room all day long and receive all of the cases from the ORs and from the procedural suites and things like that. And we have 5 PAs that work with us and a PA student. And with all of those people, we gross the cases for the day. And so the resident is prioritized to get all the big complex cases, which is what we want to see when we're in residency. We want to be able to, skillfully gross cases that are complex, because the PAs are really good at doing the less complex cases. Day 2 and 3 are preview and sign out. So we both preview and sign out the cases that we saw in the gross room. So everything that comes through the gross room for general surgical pathology is then we preview, and you take all of your own cases and write them up yourself. And then you sign them out with the attending. We have a mixed general and surgical sign out. So what I was kind of describing was the general surge path rotation. We do have some specific subspecialties currently. GI is on its own, and then others that are more commonly subspecialized in other places too: neuro, derm, renal. Those are all subspecialty, and those are their own rotations. We are transitioning to working groups by organ system, so it's going to be more of kind of like a subspecialty like sign out, but we hope to continue to have the 3-day grossing cycle. It is a transition that's been going on, but it probably won't happen for another year or so. But one thing that I just want to point out is that the leadership in the department have really been very upfront with the residents and asking for our input, and like we've done some trials, and they like have spent hours with us to like get our feedback and really not compromise any education. And so I think it's a plus. We're going to get better education and still not compromise other settings. And then briefly, as Alex talked about, our autopsy pathology rotations are really amazing. We have both hospital and medical examiner cases within UIHC. We have 3 trained forensic pathologists that are both faculty at UIHC, as well as they are the medical examiners for Johnson County. We also do cases for Johnson County is where Iowa City is. And we also do cases for a nearby county as well. So we get we get medical examiner cases along with the hospital deaths. And those are staffed by both the forensic and surgical pathology attendings. And so everything's integrated within that same rotation. And we don't have to travel somewhere else for medical examiner cases. And as you're going to continue to see, the cases are your own. So that's kind of a general theme throughout our residency education, is that the residents are the first point of contact for all sorts of things, including autopsy cases. We write them up on our own. We, preview them on our own and sign them out. We don't share anything, and we're kind of at the center of each of the different cases.
Okay, here are some highlights of our CP program. So kind of like we were talking about with the AP curriculum, the CP curriculum is very resident-centric and focused on hands-on education. This means that for us, we really believe in the resident being integrally involved in the services that they're on. So on every CP service, the resident carries the service pager for that service and is the first point of contact for any kind of questions from clinicians or troubleshooting issues in the laboratory. The lab techs will come to the resident first. that being said, the CP faculty are readily available for help on any of these issues because many times these are things we're encountering for the first time. But they're always very available to help us, but we are just given the opportunity to work through it on our own first. So I think that's really a highlight of our program, is that we get all of this hands-on experience, which is something that we're going to be doing when we're out in practice anyway. That being said, we also have a very well-structured didactic lecture series that ensures that all of the residents learn all the information that they need to sit for CP boards. And the lecture series is designed on a 2-year rotating basis. So every 2 years, we go through the curriculum all over again. And so you'll see the CP didactic lectures twice during a 4-year residency, which is really nice. Additionally, each rotation has its own didactic series that the faculty will go through. So these are really great rotations. Specifically, we're really proud of our flow cytometry rotation, which is really special because flow cytometry or immunopathology is actually its own rotation here at Iowa. And we do 3 4-week rotations in flow cytometry. We have 10-color flow cytometry, and we do the cluster analysis on our own using a program called CytoPaint. So again, this is just another example of where we are the kind of the first point of contact and integrally involved in not only interpreting the flow, but doing the cluster analysis ourselves. Additionally, our molecular pathology rotation has integral resident involvement. We do the test interpretation on a variety of tests for both cancer and genetic disease. And one highlight is that we recently developed an in-house NGS panel, similar to like a Foundation 1 type test, if anybody has heard of Foundation 1, where we do hotspot analysis of more than 100 genes, copy number variation, microsatellite instability detection, et cetera. The list of what can be added onto that panel goes on and on. And so that's been really exciting within the last year or two to see how that panel has developed. And we have been right at the center of helping bring that panel up here at the university.
A few other kind of research and perks kind of items. So research is a big part of the program. Lots of residents are involved in research projects. They are not required, but you are required to do like some sort of research or QA kind of project, but it doesn't have to be research. Although a lot of us do choose to be, and one perk of that is that travel and accommodations are paid when you're presenting at a conference, when you have an abstract to present, and there's really no limit on that. It's kind of like the department asks you to make an attempt at writing a manuscript. You certainly don't need to get it published or anything, but just showing that you're making progress on your previous project in order to, be able to go to the next one. And so a lot of us are involved with that. And like it says here, over half of the residents have gone to a national conference in just the last academic year. And I would say the vast majority go to at least one national conference because of a research project they're in. There also is another perk that you get to go to a national conference even if you don't have research to present. And the department will pay for that conference as well for one time for the 4 years. There's a book fund, and that is, if it's unused, it carries over. We also have a technology fund. When you first start, a lot of residents use that to buy a new tablet or iPad. And then a couple other things that people have questions about. PGY1s do not take weekend call. You do take weekday AP call overnight after your first surgical pathology rotation. And so that is pretty light. You often don't get called in for that. It would be in the event of a rare frozen over the night or some sort of specimen kind of triaging. And that's only 2 months out of the 13 blocks. And then there is Saturday autopsy coverage, which is if there's a case and you're up next, then you would take that case, but you don't have to be in-house for that. But no weekends other than that Saturday, and then no CP call at all. And then some people are asking about fellowships as well. There's 5 general surgical pathology fellowships, and of that, one of them is like a general surg path with a GI emphasis. That fellowship is really a highlight of the program as well. There's a lot of really good things that fellowship has that a lot of other general surg path fellowships don't have. And then you can see the others here where there's a variety of them.
These are some of the numbers from 2020. So this in 2020, we did about 41,000 surgical pathology specimens. That is slightly decreased from what we did in 2019, where we had about 46,000 specimens. This may be in part due to the COVID-19 pandemic, where our ORs were not operating for about a month or two. That being said, the rest of these numbers are also from 2020 and are very consistent with what our normal numbers would be. So in addition to about 40 to 45,000 surg path specimens, we see 9,000 cytology specimens, 6,000 non-gyne specimens, and et cetera. So plenty of cases across the spectrum for us to look at.
All right, then we're going to pass it over to Rob and Jean.
Go ahead and share my screen. We're going to start with a short promotional video from one of the economic development groups. All right, cool. Okay, so I'm Rob Humble. I'm a third year, and then Jane Prusen's first year. We're going to talk about living in Iowa City. So Iowa City is located in the Midwest, and so the Iowa City area is kind of a growing junction of multiple communities. At this point, Coralville, North Liberty, and Tiffin all kind of run together, and there's several surrounding communities as well. And we're within a 4-hour radius of several large Midwestern cities, including Minneapolis, Omaha, Kansas City, St. Louis, Chicago, and Milwaukee. And Detroit and Indianapolis aren't too far away either. The Cedar Rapids Airport is about 20 minutes north of Iowa City by interstate. And there are a decent number of direct flights, or you can certainly get where you need to go, even if that's just to connect somewhere else. I know I've flown to Chicago or Detroit or Nashville for a weekend, and it's been a relatively pain-free experience with, so as a small airport, the lines aren't so bad, that kind of thing. So just, we'll hit some of the big highlights here. So one of the big things about being in a university town is that there's a lot of university affiliated athletics. Here on the left, you can see a shot from one of the home football games. The football stadium, Kinnick Stadium, is actually located directly across the street from the hospital where we train. And you can see everybody waving in the direction of that bed tower. That's the University Stead Family Children's Hospital. We have this tradition of waving at impatient children at the end of the first quarter. And then on the right, you can see a basketball game at Carver Hawkeye Arena, which is nearby the hospital as well. And then recently, in the neighboring community, Coralville, a small arena opened up that will have a semi-pro hockey team that's affiliated with Minnesota Wild. Let's advance. There we go. Okay, so then talking a little bit about downtown Iowa City. So the hospital is located on the west side of the Iowa River, and then the undergrad campus in downtown Iowa City are immediately across the river on the east side. And so in this picture on the right, you can see the old Capitol. Iowa used to be when Iowa first became a state, however long ago, this used to be the capital before it was moved to Des Moines. Now it's the heart of the undergrad campus, and you can kind of see off in the distance a bit of the hospital. But the downtown area has a lot of businesses and restaurants, and I like to spend a lot of time down there, as do several of my co-residents, when we aren't busy in the hospital. And then here in this lower picture on the bottom, you can see our pedestrian mall that's kind of at the heart of downtown. One big event that they have most summers, we took a hiatus last year for the pandemic, but we've since resumed, is our downtown block party. Several blocks in the downtown area are shut down, and it's just like a big community gathering. There's a lot of food and music. There's sand volleyball in the street, which you don't get to do a lot often. And then here you can see this newly renovated park with this new medium-sized tower, and then one of the local film scene and independent theater shows outdoor movies occasionally.
All right. Hi, I'm Jane. I'm one of the first-year residents, but I've actually lived in Iowa City, Iowa/Coralville area since I was in grade school. Something that I really appreciate about the Iowa City area is that it's such a strong arts and music community. And there's, I mean, pretty much any time of year, there's something going on, especially in the summer months. So one of the ones that just recently happened is the Arts Festival. The City of Iowa City downtown closes off the streets and puts up art booths where you can see what all the local artists have been up to all year long and buy things from them. The one that we had just before that in July was Jazz Fest, which happens over 4th of July weekend, and it's so fun. They have fireworks and music and food and games, and it's a big party every year. Everyone looks forward to it. So I highly recommend, if you want to see a running calendar of things happening, there's downtowniowacity.com and summerofthearts.org both keep a running calendar of everything that's happening in the area, music and art. farmers markets, and other events, outdoor movie theater. And these are some of the pictures of the theater community in the area. There are actually several different venues. Have Hancher and its brand new building, newish building, Riverside Theater, the Engler Theater, and then over in Coralville is the Coralville Center for the Performing Arts. There are also, if you're more into outdoor activities, there are lots of places. Actually, I checked my Google Maps earlier today. They're all within 15 miles of the hospital. There is Sugar Bottom Recreation Area, which has bike trails, hiking. And there's also Kent Park, which has hiking, camping, fishing. That's often the Tiffin, Oxford direction, which is out past the hospital towards Coralville area. There's also Kent Park is another place that has camping and fishing. And if you feel like going a little bit further out on the weekend, one of my favorite ones is it's an hour and a half away. There's a state park that has caves where you can climb around in the caves and go hiking, and it's free. It's a great place to bring family. Not too far away. Another thing I really like about this area, so I have kids who are high school age and junior high age. They grew up here and have been a part of the school district through pre-K all the way now in high school. The Iowa City Community School District, it encompasses Iowa City, North Liberty, and Coralville. And so any place that you live in there, you'll be part of the Iowa City Community School District. And they all feed into the 3 different high schools. There's City High, West High, and Liberty High School, depending on where you are in the district. And I don't think there's one that's better than the other. They're all excellent.
And if you have any questions for us about living here during the breakout sessions, we're happy to talk more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Rob and Jane. We appreciate that. I would like to say that I think City High is the best because that is where I went to high school. But it's true. All of them are great.
Okay, and now not all of you, but quite a few of you submitted questions for us, and we really appreciate you doing that. We picked out some of the ones that were the most common. Please feel free to ask any other questions that you have when we move into the breakout rooms very shortly. But some of the things that we just wanted to highlight, our resident selection criteria, particularly as it relates to international medical graduates, can be found on our website here. And our institution supports both H-1B and J-1 visas. So please feel free to visit that website if you have any specific questions about that. And then contacting our program coordinator if there's additional questions that we can help answer. How does the program assess resident performance? We receive formal evaluations after every rotation from the faculty that work with us. Actually, it's really great that some rotations will get all of the faculty of that rotation together, and everybody will have a discussion and create a really nice formal evaluation with specific feedback for the residents on that rotation. And so we get very consistent feedback. Additionally, we have an evaluation with a program director every 6 months to make sure that we're on track for graduating and to go over our evaluations and any other kind of issues or concerns that we might be having, which is really nice. One question that we got was, what kind of jobs does the program prepare graduates for? And we really do pride ourselves in providing a well-rounded education. We have graduates that go into both academic and community practice in a variety of AP and CP subspecialties. A complete list of that, or at least a recent list of those, the places that our recent graduates have gone, can also be found on our website, where our recent fellows and residents have all gone. And like I said, that includes both academic jobs and community practice jobs. People were very interested to know what we do for fun and what we do together. Obviously, the COVID pandemic limited some of the things that we wish we could do together, but recently we were finally able to all get back together and have a picnic and grill out with our families, which was really fun. In the past, we've been able to go to sporting events as groups, movies, out to dinner. And yeah, that's been really fun, and looking forward to hopefully being able to do more of those things this year. And then finally, what are the best restaurants in Iowa City? There's actually a lot of options. I would say that there's one of everything and multiple of a lot of things. We have a really great food scene here. This is a list of some of the restaurants that a lot of people say are their favorites. Although I think if you polled the group that you would get a lot of different answers, because there's just a really great food scene in this town.
All right. And I was just looking at the chat. It looks like someone was asking, we can, you're welcome to ask this in the Q&A as well, but how frequently do graduates pursue careers in academia? And you know, it's pretty variable from you know, class to class, but I would say that on average, it's maybe about 60% go into like community practice and 40% go into academics. Alex and I are both interested in academia, so it's just kind of a personal preference, and we feel like we prepare you for either one. Here's just kind of an overview of pictures of the residents and then the fellows that we have this year. And there's several, I think there's about 10 or 11 residents here with us today. And so we're going to do the breakout rooms now. And I'll just do this conclusion slide now because we'll stop the recording, but please stay in touch. The email is here. This is going to be posted to our website on the YouTube page in the next few days. Alex and I's contact information are here. We're both somewhat active on Twitter as well. And we really appreciate you guys all coming, and wish you the best of luck. We know that this is not an easy time, especially with you know, the whole virtual thing going on, but hopefully we can get an idea of what it's like to live here.